The way I view it, I always tell them that it is a passport, especially because of most of the students, as I mentioned earlier, are applying for IELTS and they want to get their score and everything else. So I think my word is a passport, definitely. Of course, you can go to your town hall, whatever, to get your passport out, piece of paper and stuff, but it is like the metaphorical passport, I would say.
But the great thing is that this passport doesn't really, it's not just limited to just specific places specific situations. Just the moment that you learn English, you can, for example, if you're interested in finding a job, for example, you can find jobs in the most unlikely places. Like, who would have think that little like tiny company in Paris is looking for English speakers, that English is like a requirement for those people.
Yes.
Or like, why would you think you could go to like a Japanese startup that just started and you think, oh my god, I need to learn Japanese very well, and lo and behold, they require you to know English. I think it's way more than just a passport to just like bridge to with places. It's just like a ticket or like a necessary item to get a little like extra jump or extra upgrade to your lifestyle. So
That's very beautiful the way you put it. I must say, I've never thought about that in this way. It's beautiful. Agree.
it's definitely, it's much more. A passport is still a great way to put things. It's not, I'm not saying that language,
No.
English is not a passport. It is a passport. It's much more than that as well. It's
This is why I agree with you, because like I think initially the idea of a passport is you're able to move wherever you want. You just can go anywhere. That's the concept. That's why I agree with what you have said, and I think it's just beautiful how you put it like that.
approaching our last set of questions for the and we've been through a lot during this couple of and we've seen your incredible adventures from your own cult, like, I guess.
Very happy to share them. I promise you.
You're in Turkey and you're just English work experience. So looking back at everything that we've mentioned so far, what do you think, like yourself being a little bit of an outsider in all of these situations, gave you that couldn't get in any other way?
Could you repeat the question, please? I didn't catch.
Sorry. Looking back at everything that you've done so far, all of the situations, what do you think the concept of being an outsider in all of the situation gave you that you couldn't have gotten in any other way? Just like you being the outsider of things.
I think probably, I don't know, but I feel like I'm blessed, and every time somebody asks me something, I always attribute it to the fact that English. I was like, it's got me to so many places. It allowed me to meet lots of people, different locations I've been to. I've been to board meetings. I've been to so many places that like I'm like, just like, how did I get here? Is that even real? Like, there's a song by the Script, very beautiful music they have, but there is a verse where they say it's like they are referring to their past away mom or dad or something, but I'm there and I'm like, I wish my mom could see this. I wish my dad can see like I was able to make it, because like my brothers were very successful. I'm not taking that away. They've done lots of great things. One of my brothers actually ranked #1 in computer science engineering back home. They've done great things, but moving outside to a different country and building a life and doing all these things, I think English language and perspective is the most important thing that I've ever could have gotten, because it just helped me with so many things in life. And I must mention that I don't think this is the end. I think that's only the beginning. I don't know where it's going to take me in the future, but I am like, if I was 100% all in, I'm like now 1,000% all in, because I know it's just going to change and shift everything in my life.
And
I hope that answers the question.
It did. You could also argue that it gave you more of like the courage to actually try these extremely interesting experiences, but I guess that's a whole different discussion about it.
Because like the story where I came to Turkey was not mainly because I was able to speak English language. I had situations back home that pushed me from the country. As like, it was not a plan. It was one day, just like that, my whole life has changed somehow. I'll say very happy. Thank goodness.
And that brings us also to the last question. So you found all this inspiration and motivation to change your life, to move to another country. So for our listeners, if there was anybody listening who felt like, well, this is not really for me, or I am too far behind, I cannot really learn English right now, I'm too old for it, or for some other reasons, like what would you want them to hear?
So the interesting thing is that because of my experience, I learned that people's perspective to language, or English specifically, is hard to change. They need to see a very strong proof that this language works. This person brings the language with him as an educator. This person is going to take me to another level. They need to see a strong proof this is possible. So I always mention when I start with my lessons and my students mention my wife. When we start meeting, we were communicating via Google Translate. And 6 months after, I swear on everything. I tell this proudly. 6 months, Google Translate, just because my wife loved the language, loved being around me when I speak the language, and she loved making videos. When I make videos in English language, I told her this is my way of practicing. 6 months period. You know it, like it's unbelievably. We met probably the end of 2018. Before I get the job at this school, July 2019 or so, she was able to speak and communicate. And because of that, I said, like, I can do this in Turkey. Maybe I can find a job where I can improve people. A strong proof is a necessity for people. So if they think, well, I am this age, or I have this challenges, or I have this, or I have that, I would say these are all excuses. Going to the gym is always hard for people because they say, I don't have time. But they do have time, except they prefer to do something else instead of going to the gym. Strong proof is very important. Doesn't matter what is your age. The teacher need to make sure that can get you there. In terms of a learner, the learner need to have a purpose. They need to have a goal. Age doesn't matter. Most definitely. My students are, like, my youngest is 10, 11, and I still remember her. She was smart as hell. She was a B2 level. We were talking about politics, for God's sake. 10, 11, about history and economy. Turkish citizens and Turkish people are very educated about those two topics because they have to. And I had students who are 55, and they were able to come every single week, and they were able to come to me with a story. Teacher, we had a board meeting, person from Switzerland, we sat down, I introduced myself, I felt confident, I felt great, they come the next day like that. So age is definitely not something you can put in front of you to stop you or to build a boundary. Human beings, and that's also another conversation that I like to have with lots of people and lots of students. A human brain and their psychology, they love to put excuses, they love to put boundaries, they think they cannot, which is something not true. There is nothing, everything is possible. Impossible is just a word. And in my life, I always tell my students that I've asked God, if I'm not religious, wished for this life to speak only English language, and it happened. And the story of how it happened, in one day I traveled, I took one-way ticket and I came to Turkey. So impossible in my life, and when I take my students and when I communicate with them, that's why first hour of every lesson I do, I discuss mindset. I don't want them to give up on me because no, I can give them everything that I have, what I have learned.